pretty happy with myself this morning with my thumbnail. My beard is getting so freaking long. Well, it's not long, it's just like thick boy. It's out of control, it needs a bit of work. Wanted to do a very quick video today about the definition I just come up with this morning called compounding disinterest. It's been very interesting last few weeks. Looking at crypto, looking at job market, looking at everything that's going on in the world. You know, like shipping, distribution, supply chain, small business. Just a lot of like things that interest me that like I'm watching from afar and some kind of at the helm of. And one of the wonderful things that I love about crypto is the DeFi, the decentralized finance. I love the idea that we have a certain level of control by investing and compounding our fiat money into these like very bot managed smart contract based, code is law, checked by multiple security companies for good quality solidity contracts to make sure that the smart contracts are actually solid, where you can actually get loans for an incredibly low rate, or you can stake your real world funds into a digital version of those funds and get a return on them. And pretty much, it's pretty solid. Like often these companies have great security in there. Like if something gets hacked, then they've got like money that they can, insurance they can call on to like pay it back. Obviously it's a very live and direct iterative process. And I think this was kind of spurned by also watching a film the other week called The $1 Billion Code, I think it was, on Netflix. Incredible story about two German programmers who built this thing called TerraVision, which was kind of stolen by Google Earth, and it's just a great story about just governance and systems, and telling somebody at a party thing who you think your friend who's gonna like just steal your idea and then go and like flog it to Google. And it just like these power struggles that you see in life in general as a species. I just can't believe we haven't killed ourselves yet. I guess we're pretty close, 1 minute to midnight, whatever it is. But yeah, I wanted to make a little post about compounding disinterest, rather than compounding to do with crypto, but compounding disinterest in everyday life for your average worker. So your average worker either gets paid, daily, weekly, monthly, and out of that they have to pay, their rent, their mortgages, their bills, their electricity, whatever it may be. Very capitalist economy, the way it works, right? Often it's for the smaller few rather than the many. The workers often get a raw deal. But we're starting to see this intersection where people can self-educate. YouTube, amazing places on the web where you could spend multiple hours learning some of this stuff, and people can take some of that money and instead of chucking it into savings into a bank account for 0.01%, effectively nothing, in fact you're probably paying more to give them the attention of even caring about and checking on those funds. You can put it into crypto, which is kind of using smart contracts, very high APR rates, and you can do wonderful things like staking. You don't just put it into a savings account and it sits there and the bank does what it wants with your money. You don't know about it, but they give you a little bit of chump change, whatever they feel like throwing a little gold coin your way whenever they feel like it. Whereas with decentralized, there's this idea of like self-governance of your own income. And then there's wonderful things like staking. You can stake that money into the infrastructure, that platform, and the platform for doing that gives you an APR rate. I think I just said that, but I like the opposite end of, I like talking about the opposite end of this coin, right? Is that your average person in the job is compounding every single day their frustrations and annoyances in their disinterest in getting involved with that company. Like they're getting fed up with it, so they're learning how to retrain. Maybe they're overworked or underpaid or whatever it may be. So every single day that you're working for somebody or on something that you don't want to work on, that doesn't fire you up passionately. And I'm not just talking about making ends meet. I'm talking about waking up every day and going, I fucking don't enjoy doing this, but I have to do it because I need the money. I was in a cafe today and overheard probably about 5 or 6 conversations, and it was really interesting for me the amount of people after the pandemic that, just looking at them as people, these are the people that wouldn't be so outspoken from day to day at a cafe, and they're just bottled up with all of this angst and gripes and frustration, especially more so I would say in England because of Brexit and things like that. And we have, like, every single day seems to be something else, right? It's the climate, Brexit, there's inflation, yada yada yada. It's just like thrown constantly like a barrage at you, right? And so I'm sorry if my camera's a little bit junky today. I haven't recorded for a while. So I was thinking today, like, you could literally just write blogs on blogs on blogs on all of the topics that I was overhearing today. Now, I must stress that I wasn't trying to earwig on their conversations, even though I did write that in the blog post. Some people were just so, like, out with it and direct, and just like you could see and hear the frustration in people's voices. So it got me thinking about this dissatisfaction that your average person walks around with, and they compound that automatically, right? They're dissatisfied with the way their life is, the way it's turning out, the way that their career's not moving, or the money's not moving, or they're not bringing enough money, or they're not involved on a world stage, like correcting some of these wrongs. So you carry this like unrealized potential in you. You know, there's this karma of, like, you're not allowed to really have an opinion on the climate because we're just adding more problems to it, because we can't either afford to be climate friendly, or we can afford it but we don't get as much value, or there's a massive disconnect, right? Being a human being in a digital society is incredibly difficult because you need to be genned up, and you need to be informed, and you need to be constantly looking at that information and iterating on it and seeing where you fit into it. So I realised, I think, that the majority of your average Joes who keeps countries running, delivering food, making food, looking after your kids, educating them, these salt of the earth, as they're called, or like just good people who will do that job for 20, 30 years because they won't move outside of that comfort blanket, or they don't feel good enough, or they've been fucking gaslit to stay in that job role by their other work employees. They've been compounding in a different way from this whole idea of what DeFi does. DeFi is kind of like this golden ticket, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory financial style, for you to be able to put some money in and watch it have some real gains, but at the same time also educate yourself about cryptos in these ecosystems and bounce from one to another to another. It's the reason why Facebook has rebranded, well, many reasons why Facebook has rebranded to Meta, but they know that's where it's all going. A multitude of metaverses, lots of different spaces, different places for people. Brands can make scenes and locations, and you can be transported inside of those. There can be an additional layer to their PR and their promotion and their marketing, but also they can be spaces that they can keep hold of the audience, you know, the retention of talking to them and engaging them in their kind of metaverse spaces. And I realized that the distance for your average person to jump from a dissatisfied compounding life to a compounding life that actually gives them returns is fucking massive. Like, it's so difficult to get your average Joe interested in this because they've been compounding the wrong way with everything they do with their career or their job life, right? Because if they're dissatisfied at the way that something works, or they're frustrated with the way that the capitalism works, where you just throw gobs of money at it in the hope that things will be all right. Take bloody the haulage crisis, the shipping container crisis over in San Francisco. Is it San Francisco? On the West Coast anyway. You know, you got like 200,000 shipping containers a mile out from the port because they've only got 60% of people who can work to actually pull the containers off. I actually think it's worse than that. I think it's actually storage of those containers. So I don't think it's necessarily the amount of workers they've got. I think it's where they can put them logistics of the ground stuff once it actually touches on the ground. So it's interesting how the pandemic has damaged things in different ways. And I think all these people that I see in these coffee shops, they're irate, they're uptight, they're annoyed, they want to speak to somebody, they've not been able to voice this stuff, they've not been able to like talk to their co-workers about it, they've all been at home. So if you're looking for content right now, go to any coffee shop and just spend half a day there. I guarantee you, like, there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff right now. But it just hit me that if you're looking to move outside of a life of compounding dissatisfaction, then the way to do that is to get into compounding that actually gives you a return on satisfaction. Like, do you feel like you're doing something that is karmically enhancing or improving your life and the life of others around you, or are you compounding dissatisfaction, like disillusionment? Are you disillusioned when you get out of the car, or you get home from work and you chuck your keys on the counter and you take your shoes off and you go to the fridge and you get something and put your favorite content on and have that big sigh of like, fuck this job, or fuck, like, I think we've got to look at compounding in a different way. We have the tools as creators, we have the tools as educators. There's a lot of people trying to get across to this space, to DeFi, but they're stuck. They're stuck because they're locked in to compounding against the way they want to be compounding. But then I also thought, well, like, if everybody's compounding, if everybody's in the speculation economy, if everybody's on DeFi, then surely those APR rates go down. We're in the same situation as we are with centralized system. I think it comes down to being in the right place at the right time. And that is the most informed thing you can be as a human being on planet Earth today, is educate yourself, eyes wide open, ears wide open to what's going on around you. And you can see that in the food price increase, distribution chain issues, although there are like distribution chains, new ones coming online that will adapt to that, but I think it's going to be another couple of years. You only have to look at like silicon CPU chips. They've got a supply chain issue there that are talking years, not months. So just think about if the access to your computer, if you couldn't use your computer today and you had to order a new one, but you couldn't order a new one because even a last generation laptop is more expensive than a new one, and you can't get hold of a new one for 6 months, that means that you're not able to work and keep up with this stuff. So there's some interesting like issues down the road, and I think if we were more positive about the compounding efforts that we had in our lives, if we knew that we were going to have better returns in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months time, instead of this diminishing return of compounding our disinterest or dissatisfaction in everyday life, working in a job we don't want to work, we're not passionate about, I think life would be a little bit easier. It's definitely something that I've been pursuing now for about 3 months, the staking. I wish I had more funds to put into staking, but I feel like it's given me balance. I feel like I can look at it properly. Instead of being like, oh, this sucks, I can be like, well, this sucks over here, but this stuff over here is actually a benefit. It's just not today that I'm going to get the benefit. When I'm going to get it is in 6 months from now or 12 months from now. Anyway, that's my words for today. I don't know how long I went on for, 13 minutes. I do apologise for wasting 13 minutes of your life. Thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Oh, by the way, I have a bouncy ball. I have replaced my 2 chairs that failed with a exercise ball, and I recommend them to anybody who has back problems or just is sick of like trying to find the perfect chair. These fitness balls are great because this one comes with like straps so you can actually do exercises on it. Totally recommend it. Really, really cheap, like 20 or 30 bucks. Definitely something to look into for Christmas. All right, I'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye.